Hi, my name is Joanna Whitney. I am an intuitive artist, a student of natural law, and an energy healer. And this is the third time I have tried to make this video because the second half of this chapter is so complex. We're in chapter 6 of the Kybalion by the three initiates, and I read up to page 41 last time, and then every time I've tried to finish the chapter, I just wasn't able to do it. So what I did instead was I did some automatic writing about the chapter, and I'm going to read that to you, and then I'm going to read the end of the chapter. And I might have to go back again because it's just so complex. Basically because of when it was written and what's happened in between 1908 and 2024. So I'm going to just start out and read what I wrote here. So the divine paradox is that matter is both an illusion and real at the same time. But only the all understands absolute truth. If you kick a rock, you will feel the impact because your foot and matter are made of the same material. In another sense, we exist in the mind of the all, and we appear to have consciousness. Therefore, it is incorrect for us, let's say, as the heart and lungs of the all, to question our purpose and to try to figure things out for ourselves. We are here because the all thought us up. However, the all is good. Herbert Spencer's name comes into this chapter, and he believed in social Darwinism, which means survival of the fittest, and he coined that term. However, he still did believe that nature was good. The dark occult Luciferians running things around here are the ones who have spun all this on its head. If we could go back in time to 1908 and redo history, we might be in this predicament. We might not be in this predicament that we are currently in. But 1908 was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, which was the beginning of mechanizing our world, separating from nature, creating cities. And when the dark Luciferians started to come out of the woodwork as philanthropic financiers, but they had a very dark agenda, which we see playing out today. And from this vantage point, we are in now, the vantage point we are in now, it might be difficult for us to put our feet in their shoes of yesteryear and see what the point is of studying these laws now, because of how much we will have to forget. In 1929, L.G. Farben merged with Bayer to create the American Medical Association and to do away with natural medicine, bringing in animal testing and the cruelty of that and big pharma, which incrementally sets out to destroy our reliance upon nature and replace her with petroleum-based pharmaceuticals. They twisted, science into scientism, which we have now present day, and they are systematically destroying nature with radiation. To understand this chapter, you really have to be ready to get off the modern society gravy train to recapture the laws of good and nature, belief that the creator all exists and that it is good, and reject all modern conveniences in favor of the all. In one way, it is so much easier to live this way, rejecting modernity. And yet in another, you do have to give up the belief in man and medicine. This is not an easy task, as they have us trained on their treadmill of fear. But for me, it is a lot easier to live this way than in their mechanistic system. The all created us in the all's imagination, and now we have gone rogue and are trying to figure out who we are and why we got here. But we are being encouraged to do this by the dark occult, who are hell-bent on destroying us and nature so they can escape nature somehow, they believe. When it would be much easier and more satisfying for us to accept the all as our creator, except that we can only experience relative truth from our vantage point. And then, once we accept relative truth as the only truth that we can see from our vantage point, then we can actually get a glimpse of absolute truth from the corner of our eye. While we love each other and our mother, we take care of one another, we give of ourselves to one another, we simplify, declutter, we go back to homemade and homegrown. We give up distraction and live in the now, and in so doing, we share this planet with the other magnificent wild creatures here instead of destroying them and their habitats. This is why it has taken me so long to finish this chapter, because it is truly such a profound conundrum to realize what living with the divine paradox within you is actually commanding. So now I'm going to go back to page 41, where I left off at the bottom of the page. And it says, then again, the ideal of the artist or sculptor, which he is endeavoring to reproduce in stone or on canvas, seems very real to him. So do the characters in the mind of the author or dramatist, which he seeks to express so that others may recognize them. And if this be true in this case, in the case of our finite minds, what must be the degree of reality in the mental images created in the mind of the infinite? Oh, friends, to mortals, this universe of mentality is very real indeed. It is the only one we can ever know. Though we rise from plane to plane higher and higher in it, to know it otherwise but actual experience, we must be the all itself. It is true that the higher we rise in the scale, the nearer to the mind of the Father we reach, the more apparent becomes the illusory nature of finite things. But not until the all finally withdraws us into itself does the vision actually vanish. So we need not dwell upon the feature of illusion. Rather, let us, recognizing the real nature of the universe, seek to understand its mental laws and endeavor to use them to the best effect in our upward progress through life as we travel from plane to plane of being. So that's referring to our becoming better versions of ourselves, not more competitive, not more dishonest, not more immoral, but the opposite of that, becoming better and better versions of ourselves, becoming more moral, becoming more self-sacrificing, becoming more and more thinking of others and using grammar, logic, and rhetoric to work with nature, not against her. The laws of the universe are none the less iron laws because of the mental nature. All except the all are bound by them. What is in the infinite mind of the all is real in a degree second only to that reality itself, which is vested in the nature of the all. So do not feel insecure or afraid. We are all held firmly in the infinite mind of the all, and there is naught to hurt us or for us to fear. There is no power outside of the all to affect us. So we may rest calm and secure. There is a world of comfort and security in this realization when once attained. Then calm and peaceful do we sleep, rocked in the cradle of the deep, resting safely on the bosom of the ocean of infinite mind, which is the all. In the all, indeed, do we live and move and have our being. So, this just flies in the face of our intellectual fear. And to me, this is, our fears are created in the intellect, which is a part of our brain. Probably it's the part of our brain that a lot of people think is the part that makes us superior to animals, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. It's in the intellect that we have fear of lack, and then we act on that fear, and as a result of that, we do evil actions based on projections into the future. And I'm just going to let you meditate on that and think about all the things that we have come up with based on fear that are not actually happening in the here and now, and that never actually do happen. And all the institutions that have been created around that fear that was born out of the intellect that have just robbed us blind because we have bought into these silly notions. But that fear, and also the fear of pain, which they're saying there is no such thing as pain. And I would suspect that if we were living as if we were held firmly in the infinite mind of the all, and accepting that calm and peaceful ness that we would have if we accepted that we would not have pain, actually. We're so far from that at the moment, though. It's just amazing. Matter is nonetheless matter to us. While we dwell on the plane of matter, although we know it to be merely an aggregation of electrons or particles of force vibrating rapidly and gyrating around each other in formations of atoms, the atoms in turn vibrating and gyrating, forming molecules, which later in turn form larger masses of matter. Nor does matter become less matter. When we follow the inquiry still further and learn from the Hermetic teachings that the force of which the electrons are but units is merely a manifestation of the mind of the all, and like all else in the universe, is purely mental in its nature. While on the plane of matter, we must recognize its phenomena. While we may control matter as well as all masters of higher or lesser degree do, but we do so by applying the higher forces. We commit a folly when we attempt to deny the existence of matter in the relative aspect. We may deny its mastery over us, and rightly so, but we should not attempt to ignore it in its relative aspect, at least so long as we dwell upon its plane. I have had many experiences with this, honestly, where situations have come up and I have prayed and it has changed the matter for me. And it's always for the highest good of all concerned that it is changed, but it is when I seek assistance from the Creator that I have received it with regards to matter. And it requires in me a certain type of surrender that I'm in need of something, but I'm incapable of getting that for myself. And so I ask for help. And I know that I may or may not get the help. If it is for the highest good, I will get the help. And so far, I have received the help every single time. And I have seen many things change. Many material things have changed. So, I mean, it's miraculous. It truly is miraculous. And I'm not going to give any examples because they will seem so silly. But the experience of asking for the help and receiving the help, I always feel like the Ace tarot card, where the hand is reaching out from behind the veil and assisting me. And all I have to do is maintain a certain simple attitude. And that basically is that I am, and it's not self-deprecating. It's not a self-deprecating that I am powerless, but it's a powerlessness that gives me access to unlimited power. But I do have to do certain things. You know, I do have to live in that manner of morality. And I think I recently read something when I was reading about Herbert Spencer. I think I was reading that philosophically nowadays, people are actually trying to perpetrate the idea that morality is I mean, immoral almost, if that's even possible. Nihilistic, that nihilism is the way that we should be living. I mean, that's part of the transhuman agenda, obviously. So I'm going to go back here. Nor do the laws of nature become less constant or effective when we know them. Likewise, to be merely mental creations. They are in full effect on the various planes. We overcome the lower planes by applying still higher ones, and in this way only. But we cannot escape law or rise above it entirely. Nothing but the all can escape law, and that because the all is law itself, from which all laws emerge. The most advanced masters may acquire the powers usually attributed to the gods of men. And there are countless ranks of being in the great hierarchy of life, whose being and power transcends even that of the highest masters among men to a degree unthinkable by mortals. But even the highest master and the highest being must bow to the law and be as nothing in the eye of the all. So the dark Luciferians don't want to have to do that. So they're trying to create a virtual reality in which they are the law, but it's not going to work. But they could destroy this world in their attempts to do that. So that even these highest beings whose powers exceed even those attributed by men to their gods, if even these are bound by and are subservient to law, then imagine the presumption of mortal man, of our race and grade, when he dares to consider the laws of nature as unreal, visionary, and illusory, because he happens to be able to grasp the truth that the laws are mental in nature and simply mental creations of the all. So we're just minimizing what that means. We don't really even know what it means, trust me, because, you know, we've lost so much mentally. We're so dumb now. Having lost the trivium, critical thinking, the ability to have our latent abilities at our command, clairvoyance, clairsentience, kinesthetics, ESP, remote viewing, remote attention, we have so many abilities, telepathy, that we don't have access to as a result of being dumbed down. Those laws which the all intends to be governing laws are not to be defied or argued away. So long as the universe endures, will they endure. For the universe exists by virtue of these laws, which form its framework and which hold it together. The Hermetic principle of mentalism, while explaining the true nature of the universe upon the principle that all is mental, does not change the scientific conceptions of the universe, life, or evolution. In fact, science merely corroborates the Hermetic teachings. The latter merely teaches that the nature of the universe is mental, while modern science has taught that it is material, or of late that it is energy at the last analysis. The Hermetic teachings have no fault to find with Herbert Spencer's basic principle, which postulates the existence of an infinite and eternal energy from which all things proceed, which would also be considered the Holy Spirit, prana, chi, the ether, etc. In fact, the Hermetics recognize in Spencer's philosophy the highest outside statement of the workings of the natural laws that have ever been promulgated, and they believe Spencer to have been a reincarnation of an ancient philosopher who dwelt in ancient Egypt thousands of years ago, and who later incarnated as Heraclitus. Oh my God, I'm going to butcher this guy's name. It's Heraclitus. Heraclitus, the Grecian philosopher who lived BC 500, and they regard his statement of the infinite and eternal energy as directly in line of the Hermetic teachings, always with the addition of their own doctrine that his energy is the energy of the mind of the all. So in other words, a lot of times people want to separate the energy of the ether from a consciousness. They want it to be an unconscious energy. People want to believe that there is no consciousness in the universe, than in ether. They want to believe that it's mechanistic, because this will, first of all, give humans the right to create laws, which then they can change because they're human. And also it will answer their questions of why bad things happen. But the thing is, the reason why bad things happen is because of the law of cause and effect. And most of the time, there's such a lag time between the effect and the cause that the person who set it in motion cannot see their action as the cause. So they want to blame the all. With the master key of the Hermetic philosophy, the student of Spencer will be able to unlock many doors of the inner philosophical conceptions of the great English philosopher, whose work shows the results of the preparation of his previous incarnations. His teachings regarding evolution and rhythm are in almost perfect agreement with the Hermetic teachings regarding the principle of rhythm. So the student of Hermetics need not lay aside any of his cherished scientific views regarding the universe. All he is asked to do is to grasp the underlying principle of the all is mind and the universe is mental, held in the mind of the all. He will find that the other 6 or of the 7 principles will fit into his scientific knowledge and will serve to bring out obscure points and to throw light in dark corners. This is not to be wondered at when we realize the influence of the Hermetic thought of the early philosophers of Greece upon those whose foundations of thought the theories of modern science largely rest. The acceptance of the first Hermetic principle, mentalism, is the only great point of difference between modern science and Hermetic students. And science is gradually moving toward the Hermetic position, and it's groping in the dark for a way out of the labyrinth into which it has wandered in its search for reality. Except that modern science doesn't want to believe in consciousness, or else the lobby, the dark Luciferian lobby behind science, does not want people to believe in consciousness of the all. They want it to be believed that it is evil, that nature is evil, that nature is trying to kill us, so that we will rely on big pharma, which is actually trying to kill us, as we know. The purpose of this lesson is to impress upon the minds of our students that the fact that, to all intents and purposes, the universe and its laws and its phenomena are just as real, so far as man is concerned, as they would be under the hypothesis of materialism or energism. Under any hypothesis, the universe in its outer aspect is changing, ever-flowing, and transitory, and therefore devoid of substantiality and reality. But, note the other pole of the truth, Under the same hypothesis, we are compelled to act and live as if the fleeting things were real and substantial. With this difference always between the various hypotheses that under the old views of mental power was ignored as a natural force, while under mentalism it becomes the greatest natural force. And this is one difference. And this one difference revolutionizes life to those who understand the principle and its resulting laws and practice. Well, the reason for that is because the dark Luciferians want to bring in the New World Order. And if we know and understand that our mental power is connected to the greatest natural force, they will not have the ability to bring in their plans of the Great Reset, 15-minute cities, and you will own nothing and be happy. Those things would not be possible if everyone understood that the greatest natural force is within our power, the power of mentalism. So finally, students all grasp the advantage of mentalism and learn to know, use, and apply the laws resulting therefrom, but do not yield to the temptation which, as the Kybalion states, overcomes the half-wise, and which causes them to be hypnotized by the apparent unreality of things. The consequence being that they wander about like dream people dwelling in a world of dreams, ignoring the practical work and life of man. The end being that they are broken against the rocks and torn asunder by the elements by reason of their folly, which is what we're seeing today. Rather follow the example of the wise, which the same authority states, use law against laws, the higher against the lower, and by the art of alchemy, transmute that which is undesirable into that which is worthy, and thus triumph. Following the authority, let us avoid the half-wisdom, which is folly, which ignores the truth that, quote, mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or living, but in using the higher forces against the lower, escaping the pains of the lower planes by vibrating on the higher, end quote. Remember always, student, that, quote, transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master, end quote. The above quotations are from the Kybalion and are worthy of being committed to memory by the student. We do not live in a world of dreams, but in a universe which, while relative, is real so far as our lives and actions are concerned. Our business in the universe is not to deny its existence, but to live using the laws to rise from lower to higher, living on, doing the best that we can under the circumstances, arising each day and living, so far as is possible, to our biggest ideas and ideals. The true meaning of life is not known to men on this plane, if indeed to any, but the highest authorities and our own intuitions teach us that we will make no mistake in living up to the best that is in us, so far as is possible, and realizing the universal tendency in the same direction in spite of apparent evidence to the contrary. We are all on the path, and the road leads upward forever, with frequent resting places. Read the message of the Kybalion and follow the example of the wise, avoiding the mistake of the half-wise who perish by reason of their folly. So that's the end of that chapter. And basically what they're saying is that we have to return to living moral lives and bettering ourselves for the highest good of all concerned, not living in this competitive single-mindedness, the single, I should say, not single-mindedness, I should say self-absorbed, self-centered, competitive, dog eat dog, kill or be killed mentality, which is Satanism. Until next time.